All right, man, peace. So, brothers, one of the main components of this incessant gender war that gets waged all over the internet, particularly between the so-called black man and the so-called black woman, is that black women prefer thugs. That's one of the main allegations that is levied against the so-called black woman, particularly the liberal black woman, by the liberal black man. And why do I highlight that term liberal? Because it's usually the so-called liberal black man who spends all his time trying to go back and forth with women. And that conversation is circular, that leads you nowhere. The real issue is that the woman by nature is an agent of chaos. And when she sees a degenerate in whatever manifestation that is, whether it's a so-called thug or what have you, she sees a kindred spirit. Because all a thug is a male version of an agent of chaos, or at least one of those manifestations of a male agent of chaos. Because there are different manifestations. A simp is also an agent of chaos that happens to be a male, as are so-called liberal blacks, or liberal black men, let me specify. Many times so-called pro-black men are agents of chaos. Why is that? Because they have no real solutions. Their thought process is very low level. But just getting back to the so-called thug, what the so-called thug provides for the liberal black woman is someone to blame when things go wrong. Brothers have to understand that when the liberal black female deals with an upstanding man, especially one who's not going to kowtow to her nonsense, her feminazi programming, what have you, now she's going to be forced to conform to monotony, which many, if not most, liberal black females will refuse to conform to. And pretty much all liberal females have the same mentality, but once again, my channel is geared towards the so-called black man. And to be quite frank with you, the things that the so-called black man has to deal with and tolerate are different and disparate from pretty much every other so-called race of man on the earth, because of the extreme nature of it, due to the fact that our people have been totally deculturalized. But when you see the thug, you're looking at a grown boy. And what that allows the liberal black female to do is to treat him like a science project, something to build up, to keep her mind occupied. What the thug does is he provides a suitable form of entertainment and nonstop hijinks for a being, that being the liberal black female, who is whimsical and capricious by nature. Because of that natural whimsicality, when she's dealing with an entity like the so-called thug, who is an agent of chaos, she never knows what to expect next. On Monday, he could be whooping her ass. On Tuesday, he could be chopping up some coke in the kitchen. On Wednesday, he could be getting pulled over for a DUI. These are all things that seem appealing to the modern day liberal black female, because it constantly keeps her mind occupied on foolishness. The so-called thug is never going to push her mentally. He's never going to try to encourage her to seek out a better version of herself. As a matter of fact, he's going to debase her by trying to drag her down. And oftentimes, many of these females don't understand this or grasp this until they get around 30 years old. That's why you'll see that around that time period is when they start to complain about there being, quote unquote, no good men, or how there is a good man shortage, things of that nature, because they spent the majority of their youth chasing after degenerates. Why is that? Because like seeketh like. The liberal black female is a degenerate, as are thugs. That's why they fit together. Once again, it's not so much an attraction to thugs per se, even though sometimes that is the issue. It's more of an attraction to that chaotic, frenetic energy, that entropy that emanates from the so-called thug, that makes the liberal black female gravitate towards him. So anyway, in regards to this case right here, we're going to see many components of that phenomenon. And of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Plaintiff Natasha Pendarvis dated the defendant for 11 years, and she claims as a result of his drug and alcohol addiction, he was physically abusive. Natasha claims the defendant assaulted her nearly once a month while they were together.
This bro said that the defendant assaulted her once a month. Hey, brothers, don't I have a series called Domestic Violence is a You Issue? It's a you problem. She liked getting her ass whooped, and I'm sure that certain people are not going to like me saying that. But at the end of the day, if you're a grown woman, you're a grown woman who can make your own decisions, and many of these liberal black females are fond of saying that they're strong and independent, quote unquote. They love to say that many of these men out here are not, quote unquote, strong enough to be with them, which in and of itself is them stating that to be with them is going to be constant warfare. Because when you think of an adjective like strength, that normally correlates to a battle. So the liberal female, the liberal black female in particular, is always looking for a battle. That is another reason why they're drawn to thugs, because the thug, or just any low-level man, is going to indulge them in that sense of combat.
And she called the police on him at least 20 times. Natasha's suing her ex today for child support. Defendant Jonathan Harris says Natasha had...
Look at this brother. He walking in like he modeling for Jet magazine or some shit.
had him arrested over 18 times for domestic violence.
Now look at this. Look at the city that it says Mr. Jonathan Harris is from. Aurora, Colorado. Now, who was from Aurora, Colorado? I believe it was the Dark Knight Rises theater shooter. What's that cat's name again? Was it James Blake? James Blake or James Holmes, one of the two. One of you brothers can correct me in the comments. I think it's James Holmes, because I believe James Blake was a black tennis player. The reason why I bring this up is because this brother right here is going to display some of the components of someone who may have been fractured at some point in his life. And I'd be interested to know if at any point in his life he was ever in a psychiatric institution or in the military. Just seeing that he's from Aurora, Colorado, and that possibly may be a hotbed of MK Ultra mind control programming, or some methodology in which his conscious mind was fractured, what they call dissociative identity disorder. Just pay attention to many of his gesticulations.
Violence. But he insists he never assaulted Natasha, and the only reason she had him arrested was so she could control him.
I believe you. I believe that she was trying to tame you in some way. Many of these modern liberal females get off on saying if they can quote-unquote tame a thug because they want the best of both worlds. They want that so-called thug or that degenerate who also is going to be a stay-at-home dad, or if he's not a stay-at-home dad, he's working a 9-to-5, wearing a suit and tie, but can come home and put the thug love on put the thug love on him. All that silly shit, where they end up finding out that the thug love that many of these dudes is going to put on them is going to come with the knuckles on his left hand and the knuckles on his right hand. That's normally how that goes.
Jonathan claims he couldn't stay current with child support because of the numerous false arrests.
Start with you.
I met Jonathan in 2002. We had a pretty rocky relationship. Well, we were together.
Till when?
2012, about 11 years. Jonathan is a heavy drinker. Jonathan abuses drugs. Jonathan started getting physically abusive.
What type of drugs?
Very interesting. So you were with this man for 11 years while he heavily abused drugs and alcohol. So I guess you're sober and you've never used drugs over the course of those 11 years, but you were with someone who did so heavily. Isn't that strange? I'm sorry, brothers, but the scriptures tell you can two walk together unless they be in agreement. There's even a conventional idiom that states like seeketh like. That's pretty much how it goes. However all the other members of your crew are, tends to be how you are.
Popping pills, marijuana. Jonathan was physically abusive to me the entire relationship. In 2004, Jonathan and I were arguing about something, and he goes outside, and I followed him outside to try and talk to him.
What?
No, you followed him outside so that you could pursue the theatrics that you were getting high off of. You were getting high off of his penis, and you were getting high off of his frenetic conduct. All the entropy, the chaos, the anarchy he was bringing into your life, you were getting high off of it. You were mutually feeding each other in chaotic energy, and you both loved it.
Why did he go outside?
Why did he go outside? To smoke or to get some air? I'm not sure.
Get away from...
You're not sure why he was leaving your abode, even though you were trying to pursue him to make sure that he was not going to relent. He was going to put up his end of the bargain. You needed him as a combat partner, and you were not going to let him escape.
From me?
Possibly. Yep.
You followed him?
I did.
Yes, you followed him because you were not going to give up until you got what you wanted from him, which is for him to lose his composure and act out. Let me rewind this back a little bit.
Followed him outside to try and talk to him.
Why did he go outside?
Why did he go outside? To smoke or to get some air? I'm not sure.
Get away from me?
Possibly. Yep.
You followed him?
I did.
Now, look at this. The judge asked her, why did he go outside? And she said, oh, to smoke or to get some air, I'm not sure. Now, for what reason do people that smoke or who need to leave whatever room or abode they're in to get air do it for? They normally do it to avoid an unnecessary, or at least in their mind, unnecessary confrontation. She was aware of that. That's why when the judge asked her to avoid you or to leave you, she said yes, because she already knew. She's making all of this stuff up in her mind. When I say she's making it up, I'm talking about the reason behind many of these altercations, because she's mentally ill. And that's my point. You brothers need to stop going back and forth with these liberal black women all over the internet because they're mentally ill. And when you go back and forth with them, you know why that is? It's because you're mentally ill as well. You have to show them a higher way. And when they don't want to follow that path, that's okay. It's because they're not good enough to be with you. That's why. Let these liberal black females go off into whatever cesspool they want to dwell in with a lot of these male drones that they're going to procreate with, copulate with, and bring forth more low-level children to feed the prison industrial complex. In order for the overall culture of the so-called black community to be implemented, improved upon, at least until the end of this society, if you truly are sincere in trying to make a change, it starts with us disciplining ourselves and showing the liberal black female what we're not going to tolerate in regards to her behavior. Cats complain all the time, oh man, these women just want thugs. No, there's good females out there. You have to be patient enough for the Most High to send you some, or send you one, or you have to improve yourself so that the Most High will send you one. That's what it's about. It's not about worrying about what these low-level broads are doing. The hell with them. There's about 5 or 6 women out here for every man. And you got these dudes talking about, that's not true. There's only about 1.2 women for every 1.1 man. All that's bullshit. The Most High has always created more women than men. And you're supposed to be the head anyway. Even if hypothetically speaking, there only is one woman for every man. You should understand that with the preponderance of low-level black males out here that are conforming to what they're being taught or mistaught and then ending up dead or in prison, there's still 3 or 4 women for every man. So what are you talking about? But anyway, the real point is that it's all about the so-called black man and what he tolerates within himself. When you don't tolerate bullshit within yourself, you're not going to tolerate it from anybody else.
To try and talk to him. John backhanded me. I don't know if it was closed fist or open fist, but he knocked my entire tooth out, busted my lip open.
Damn, he hit you that hard you didn't even know if it was a fist or a slap? Shit.
The whole tooth came out to the root. It was about 2.5 inches long.
I guess he's a hell of a dentist.
We went to the hospital. I had to call his brother to go to the hospital because at that time, Jonathan had got my car impounded.
This is 04.
I've always had a car.
How many times has he assaulted you? You say
too many to count.
How many times a month?
Too many to count? I guess he's done giving you so many concussions you can't even remember, huh?
Once a month.
Once a month for approximately
11 years.
11 years.
Damn, so he been whooping your ass once a month for 11 years. So what is that? That's 132 ass whoopings he done gave you. You know, you need to go into boxing. I mean, shit. You could probably beat Andre Ward, Klitschko, if he was still fighting. You could probably beat Deontay Wilder because you must take a hell of a ass whooping.
11 years?
Yes.
Why'd you stay?
I love John.
Of course, you're addicted to chaos. Listen to what she says. Let me rewind this back a little bit.
John.
11
years.
11 years?
Yes.
Why'd you stay?
I love John. I loved him a lot. I wanted to be with him.
You love the chaos, you love the penis, and you love the ass whoopings. Quiet as kept. Brothers, there's a lot of women out here who love when a man whoops their ass. If you know that you're a man about order, and you run into a female that loves to get her ass whooped, you have to drop that woman like a bad habit. You got to drop her very quickly because many females will show you that they like to get their ass whooped by being overly confrontational, getting up in a man's face. Now it's up to you what you do after that. But you cannot conform to that paradigm. There are many females out here who like to get their ass whooped. Quiet is kept. And of course it's taboo to say that, but it is what it is. This is a pro-truth channel. I'm going to say what needs to be said, so that many of you so-called black men out there, especially a lot of you younger brothers, can avoid the dumb shit. The plaintiff likes to get her ass whooped. She just understands that by whooping her ass, by getting the defendant to whoop her ass, because she loves it. She was with him for 11 years. She took 132 ass whoopings, according to her testimony. Once a month for 11 years, she got her ass whooped. It was like paying her rent every month. She paid her rent, then she got her ass whooped. So she loved it. Well, so by her staying with him that long, that's her saying, I love getting my ass whooped. When you're with a female like that, she's going to show you early. Drop that female, because the reason why she likes getting her ass whooped, not only does she get the physical and the spiritual sensation from it to promote chaos within herself, but also she knows that whenever she wants, she can make that man kowtow to her by involving the police or the judicial system.
I was 19. I haven't stopped loving John.
Okay.
No, you haven't stopped loving the rod and the ass whoopings.
In 2007, we had a child
you all
together.
Are still together?
We are not together. We broke up in 2012. My daughter was 4 years old.
Okay.
So it's been 6 years. You still loving John. You still missing the ass whoopings. I bet you the new guy that she's with, if she's with someone new, either he's whooping her ass or she's still unhappy with him because he doesn't whoop her ass like John whooped her ass.
You didn't stop loving him. You just broke up.
That's correct. He was abusive towards me. I didn't want to be with him. I didn't want to see my
How
daughter.
many times you call the police? Can you estimate?
Too many to count. Estimate.
Me for
20.
You, sir.
So 20 times you called the police. So 20 minus 132 is 112 times you got your ass whooped and didn't call the cops. I guess you just did what? You went in the kitchen and made a sandwich, huh?
She's, I can't even say that she's halfway accurate. We would get into, she wants to bring up the example of 2004, I believe. She would not stop where I'm trying to get away from her. I go outside to have a cigarette. She's trying to grab my cigarette out of my hand and
No, sir.
never turned around to actually physically grab her and hit her. She knows that was not the intention. She knows that.
I don't know about not being the intention. It's wrong. It's very wrong. But shouldn't chase a man when he's trying to get away from being violent towards you. Just let him go, man. Go.
Kudos to Judge Mathis for saying that. Because in this era that we live in, a man is never supposed to tell a woman that what she does is wrong. So kudos to him for saying that she should not have followed him outside if he truly was trying to avoid her, which I believe he was. Because I think that, as dumb as he is, even he started to figure out after a while that she liked getting her ass whooped. She liked going through that process, that destroy and rebuild process. The spirit of Kali Ma, the destroyer goddess. I tell you brothers about that all the time. Many of these modern liberal females, they love that energy of destroy and rebuild. That's why they like going through the breakup and makeup ritual. That's why they like going through the getting to a knockdown, drag out fight and then makeup ritual. It feeds into that fire that they have inside of them for chaos, like the phoenix bird. Burn it and then be reborn. But once again, pay attention to how the defendant, his mannerisms, how he gestures. He seems very, very disjointed. I would not be surprised if he was formerly in the U.S. military or something happened to him a while ago.
Go ahead.
As far as the physical abuse part, that's completely inaccurate. We would have verbal confrontations or what have you.
You say you physically assaulted her once a month.
That's not correct. Now, I was arrested.
It was not once a month. It was more like once every month and a half because she just kept fucking with a nigger and I just couldn't handle it anymore. In all seriousness, though, something happened to this dude. And when I say I would not be surprised if he was in the military, I'm talking about someone who was put through some type of experimentation.
I was arrested for these things.
How many times?
Over 18. I have over 18 domestic arrests.
And so how many convictions?
I have 2 convictions.
2?
Yeah, she would bond me out. I would go to jail. She would bond me out.
Of course she was going to bond you out because that was her way of showing you I'm your mother. I could do with you whatever I want.
She used that as sort of, I'm going to teach you, like you're going to abide.
Teach you what? You only need to be taught if you're doing something to her.
No, that's not necessarily true, Judge Mathis. That's not true. Many of these liberal females view their man or their consort or their significant other like a dog or a pet. When you read Ecclesiasticus, the 30th chapter, I believe in the 8th verse, it tells you that A horse, when it's not broken, it becomes headstrong. So many of these liberal females, they look at their consort, they look at their so-called man as an animal to be broken in. Break them down all the way to the finest kernel and then build them back up in the image that you want them to be in. Because remember, in this society, everything is turned upside down. So the female actually believes that the man is their helpmeet. They don't believe that they're the helpmeet to the man. They believe that the man is their helpmeet. The liberal female does. They truly believe that. They believe that they can define manhood. They believe that they have the right to try to break down a man and build him back up into the image that they think a man should be in. And they're not going to let anyone else tell them any different. That's why many of you brothers who engage in or initiate these relationships, quote unquote, with the liberal female, you should be very, very wary and understand exactly what you're getting into.
That's the thing that I did not understand.
Please,
what
you didn't understand. You understood when she said, I'm going to teach you. That means from either hitting me or I'm going to teach you a lesson for some other reason.
No, sir. When he said that she's going to teach him, or she's basically going to discipline him or break him down, that's exactly what that meant. It had nothing to do with him beating on her. It had to do with the fact that he represented the raw material that she was attracted to. The so-called frenetic thug energy, the agent of chaos archetype. And she felt like she could take that and mold that like a gold nugget that she could fashion into a necklace or a charm in some way. That, brothers, is why many of these liberal females are attracted to a certain type of male. Not just because they want to dwell with that same exact male, but they believe that he has the raw materials that they want in a man, and they can build him up from there. They truly believe that they have the intellect and the spirituality to fashion a man into what they want him to be. As if a man is functional based off of what a woman wants from him. What makes a man functional is when he's doing what the Most High wants him to do, not when he's doing what a woman wants him to do. That, to be quite frank with you, is an abomination.
So you don't know the other reason she wanted to teach you a lesson?
She's going to teach me to listen to her.
Ding. There you go, brother. You finally hit on it. He probably didn't realize it until late. And even though I say that it's possible that he may have had his mind fractured in the military or some other organization, I see that he's from Aurora, Colorado, which is the same place that James Holmes is from. It could also just be that he's smoking some strong shit. Some polluted weed. He is from Colorado. Or maybe he's doing some type of hallucinogenic drug, like LSD or PCP or angel dust, mixed in with his weed. Who knows? But he certainly has some mental issues. He seems fractured to me.
Okay, all right, what did you say that? She's going to teach you to obey her. And the way she does that is by sending you to jail. Did it work?
No.
How many more times do you need to go to jail before it works?
It's not supposed to work, Judge Mathis. And you know damn well that bullshit is not supposed to work. You as a grown man know that your wife is not supposed to be trying to break you down into being who she wants you to be. If that's the type of guy that she's looking for, then that's what she should have been with from the start. Why take a degenerate and try to build him up into a functional person? You don't have the ability to play God like that. You don't have the wherewithal to play God like that. But that shows you the goddess mentality that most of these liberal females have.
I mean,
Stay tuned. The case continues after this.
What were you convicted of? Tell me those circumstances.
okay, so we actually went to trial. I was convicted for...
What did she allege?
She alleged that I beat her up and threw her on the ground and all types of other things. What I ended up getting convicted for, going through a complete trial with no type of representation or anything, was disturbing the peace, because I openly admitted that I called her out her name.
Okay, and that's what you were convicted for?
That's
disturbing the peace?
For disturbing the
After a trial?
Absolutely.
Not a plea bargain?
No plea bargain.
Was it a jury or a bench trial by the judge?
When they convicted him for disturbing the peace, what they were really saying was that you disturbed the peace of the liberal black female goddess, the mother goddess that you're supposed to bow down to. How dare you?
It was a bench trial by the judge.
How about the other conviction?
We have an altercation on a Monday. Friday comes around. She's asking me for money for the rent, I say, no, I'm moving out, and I'm going to use my money to get my own place. She tells me, no, you're not. And she calls the police to report a Monday night fight on a Friday. They come, I get arrested on the job spot. I'm like, okay, so why
You came to your job?
Yes, they came to my job and arrested me there because she called the police.
Look, let me say this real quick, because this dude seems very disjointed. He's certainly not the sharpest knife in the drawer, and that's probably one of the reasons why she likes him so much, because he makes her feel smart. You'll find oftentimes that the modern day liberal female, she has issues with anyone who knows who they are and is not willing to kowtow or conform to many of her more liberal and silly ideologies. They have major issues with that, and beyond that, it's very clear that both the plaintiff and the defendant are dysfunctional, as we see very often in these cases involving a so-called black man and a so-called black woman, particularly due to the fact that most of these younger black men are not taught anything. So you could see he was pretty much quote-unquote learning on the job in regards to dealing with her. And by the time he understood what the relationship paradigm is in this society, he was already 8-9 years deep in with this female and had already learned to subscribe to her form of what a relationship is. Once again, brothers, dysfunctionality is not supposed to be a part of any relationship that you're in. Not with a woman, not with your friend, not with your family. When you find that it's dysfunctional, you have to make it functional, or that person has to go. Period. Or they're going to drag you down with them. That's how that goes. Now, in this case, it seems to be two mutually negative people who get off on each other's negativity. Remember, two negatives make a positive. When you have two negative people and they're together in a relationship, why do they stay together for so long? Because they both feel an overall positive charge by being with someone as negative as them. When a negative person is with a positive person, they'll normally find that they're bored by that person, because they're not getting the hijinks and the antics that they feed off of. And that's the issue with this female here, Etasha Pendarvis. She's trying to act as if she's some upstanding female here in court, but she's most likely a low-level person. How could you not be a low-level person and be with someone who's whooping your ass every month on the month for 11 years? People may say, well, don't blame the quote-unquote victim. When you decide to willfully stay with someone for that long, you must be blamed. Because if you're not blamed, then you must be a mental slave. Maybe he has some type of mojo working on her. I've already stated it's obvious that she's addicted to his penis and to his overall aura. Remember, the aura of the so-called thug attracts the mother goddess. Once again, they love that destroy and rebuild program, that paradigm.
The case ends up getting dismissed ultimately.
Well, you weren't convicted then. I want to hear about the ones that you say you were convicted of too.
Oh, those are just plea. I was younger. I took plea bargains, not really understanding.
You took two plea bargains?
Yes, sir.
You were convicted twice?
Yes, sir.
And you took two plea bargains?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember telling me you were convicted twice and that one was a bench trial?
Yes, sir.
Now you're telling me something different.
No, this is something she can attest to.
No. I'm asking you. I'm going by what you told me.
Yes, sir.
So what did you mean the first time? You were lying about the trial?
No, there's a misunderstanding in, like, convicted and then going through, like, the full trial. Like, when I took a plea
No, it's
bargain,
not a misunderstanding. So I don't...
No, sir. Yes, it is a misunderstanding, because in one of those two convictions, it was because I had hit her with a left hand, and the other one I hit her with a right hand. So I just want to make a distinction.
So I don't understand, what are you saying is a difference? I do know the difference. You do know that.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, your credibility is shot.
Look, he's clearly not all there. This guy has obviously been using strong drugs for many years. Allegedly. I mean, it is what it is.
I have to conclude you're dishonest. All right, and so I'll go...
Or just discombobulated. Or both.
I'll go with what you said. And it's unfortunate, and that should stop her.
Let me say this also. That's another reason why the modern liberal black female likes to be with a discombobulated, low-level person like the defendant. Once again, it makes her look like a truth teller. It makes her look intelligent. It makes her look wise. Please remember that if she's with someone who has her shit together, she can't take a so-called black man that has his shit together to court, because he's going to present fact upon fact upon fact upon fact, and it's going to embarrass her. The liberal black woman can't handle that level of embarrassment. So that is why oftentimes she gravitates towards the low-level, quote-unquote, so-called thug, really just male agent of chaos, because it helps bolster her ego.
Early on, one way or the other, if you couldn't leave, you don't have any brothers or anything?
Yes,
Or,
Your Honor, I do.
Yeah, you should
Yes,
call
Your
your
Honor, I do.
brothers.
I protected
Or
John
your
the whole
father
time.
or anything? Did you ever call them?
No, Your Honor, I didn't. I protected
knew what would
John
happen.
the whole time. I protected him. And,
Yeah, you were so noble. You, quote-unquote, protected him. You should have protected him from you. Both of you should have protected yourselves from each other, because you're both negative.
I put him on child support in 2008, shortly after my daughter was born, and he didn't help me at all with her. The last time he paid child support.
So let me get this straight. You were with a guy for 11 years who whooped your ass every month on the regular. He was a stone-cold drug user and alcoholic, but you thought that once he impregnated you, that he was going to be a consistent source of monetary income for you and your child. Okay, I got you.
Child support. He's ordered to pay $316 a month. The last time he paid was in 2015.
But, Your Honor, $316 a month, how am I going to live and pay my rent and buy my weed and my angel dust? Can you explain that?
If I may go back, sir, to an incident in 2015, why I have a restraining order against John. In 2015 March, he came to my apartment unannounced to see his daughter, which was fine.
I know it was fine, because you was hoping to get some rod while he was there.
He comes in, he's drinking, I can smell it on him. He picks up a bottle, and then I asked him not to do that in my house. I pour it down the kitchen sink. He is not happy with that. He puts me up against the wall. He puts his hands around my neck. My daughter ends up getting up. She's 4 years old at the time. She is asking her dad to get off of me, hitting him, please leave my mom alone.
I don't know why you were surprised. You should have been used to getting your ass whooped once a month. He came back to rekindle that custom that you guys had.
Alone. John ends up taking my keys, my phone, my purse, runs out to my...
Damn, he's like the Terminator. I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
to my truck and gets in my truck and starts it up. I follow him. My daughter followed me. No shoes on. I don't have any shoes on either. I'm in the door of my truck holding my child. John told us to move out of the way or we're going to get hit.
Was he playing ludicrous when he said that?
So he moves my truck a little bit. The door pushes us slightly. We move out the way. John is gone with my truck for 3 days. This is why I went to get a restraining order. He turns himself in. I go to court while he's still in jail, and I have a permanent restraining order.
You have that with you
Yes,
today?
sir, I do.
Can't lie about that. It's in writing today.
That's the last time he paid child support,
Okay.
one time in
Hearing
2015.
child provisions. Okay, this was a hearing. Here it is. Then you signed it, agreeing that it occurred.
Stay tuned. The verdict next.
What do you say to this, sir? The child support.
She's not bringing up the fact that child support reimbursed me from overpayment. She's not bringing up that
You
fact.
have your child support printout?
Yes, sir, I do.
When did they do that, sir?
Why the hell would she bring that up? She's trying to win the case.
Sir?
This was roughly around 2000, and I want to say 9.
Okay.
And this is something that she can attest to as well. I was driving from my job
8 years ago.
No.
to her job.
8 years ago?
I'm just bringing up the
I
fact.
know. You're bringing up what happened 8 years ago. Let's talk about now.
Right now,
Yes, sir.
I just recently got out of jail for like driving under the influence, and that was my first
Drinking.
DUI ever.
She said you were a drunken woman beater.
That she was with for 11 years and took 132 ass whoopings. That's what she said. Okay? She done took more ass whoopings than Tex Cobb. I mean, shit.
Whom she had to call the police on and have you arrested. Now, you're admitting that you just got out of jail for drinking again. I hope you're not beating your current woman and...
Well, I hope that his current woman is not tolerating that. Because this is not the society where a woman could just be getting her ass whooped and claim that she had no recourse. This is not 1950. Most females today, especially in the so-called black community, have more resources than the males do. Especially if the males are not on their P's and Q's. So if she's a liberal black female getting her ass whooped and tolerating that, it's most likely because she once again is enraptured by the so-called male agent of chaos image and the rod that she's getting. Why would you stay with someone who's whooping your ass? Doesn't make sense unless you have a mental issue.
And if you are, I hope she either takes you to the police as well or calls her brothers. All right. 5,000 is your judgment based on what I've seen. Have a good day.
And she gonna spend all 5,000 of those dollars on him. All he has to do is tell her, baby, I love you, please take me back. And she will give him that $5,000 tonight.
When are you gonna help me?
You know you're not. You know you're not. You know you're not.
You lied about everything.
You know you're not right. You know you're not right. You know you're not right. How many times did I come to your job?
You're gonna help me take care of your child.
You put child support on me because I was in a relationship. Let's get it right. Let's get it right.
Take care of your child.
Come on, get it.
When she said that she wants help from him to take care of his child, she's talking about the rod. That's all. She wants him back in the house. He's like a runaway dog to her. She's like, Fifi, when are you coming back home? I need some doggy style.
Come on, get out of here.
You're not helping me take care of your child.
Did you or did you not put me on child support
You're
when
not
I was
helping me
bringing
take
money
care of
to
your child.
But anyway, that's it on this case. And this will probably be a volume 1 because I suspect that there are going to be a lot more scenarios and situations that I can utilize to add to this theme of do liberal black women love thugs, things of that nature. But brothers, once again, you're not supposed to be going back and forth with the woman, nor should you be concerned about who the woman is laying down with. There's always a remnant. There's always good females out here for you to deal with. Stop paying attention to the 8 women that are acting scandalous and pay attention to the ones that are on your level. But you have to establish what your level is first. That's all there is to it, man. It is what it is. Peace.